Hello, I'm Ali Stokes and I'm here at Franklin's Garden today to talk Northampton Saints boss Chris Boyd about some of the changes he and Sam Vesti have made to the club this season. There's exciting results and some fresh new faces coming through the club, and we're going to find out what's happening. When Boyd arrived at the Gardens over the summer, his job looked like a salvage mission. But New Zealander has led Northampton to the top end of the table and has done so with a strong core of academy and youth players. I asked him why these youngsters are so important to his vision.
I just think that they've been sitting there and waiting for an opportunity, and sometimes that opportunity comes because somebody else loses form or somebody gets injured, or you see an ability in them at training that you'd like to see if how they go in the real deal. So the PRC has been very good for that, as has the Monday night games to allow some of those young guys to shine, and then we've had the confidence when they've shined to put them in the big stage, and by and large all those boys have rewarded us with good performance, and we've rewarded them back with contracts. I think we've contracted about 10 of our academy boys to go on into the future, and I think part of that's just giving them the confidence to fail in a lot of ways, that get out there and enjoy the opportunity, and if it doesn't work, then no one's going to be particularly hard on them. As long as they work hard and try hard, then what'll be will be. I think any organisation is a sum of its total parts, and Sam's brought a freshness into the attack, and I've got a slightly different view on the way the game's played. Matt Ferguson's brought a different approach into the scrummaging, and mixed in with that, Alan Dickens, who was here for the last number of years, and Phil Dowson, who's running the forward pack, who's been here. And I think the coaching combination, I've been really pleased with. It's been really good. So we've got some fine young English coaches here, which I think's great news. Look, I think the biggest difference for me is the global nature of the competition. So, the recruitment, retention and development. The development is fine, the players are here, the young guys, and that's okay, but understanding where your roster is and where your strengths and weaknesses are, and finding opportunities for not only established players at the highest end, but giving opportunity to young guys that may not be getting it elsewhere, finding those little pieces of coal and trying to turn them into diamonds, I think is one of the really interesting challenges. So the global nature of the roster and the competition, I think, is something I didn't realise would be quite as big as it is. But otherwise, it's pretty much, I watched the first round of Super Rugby from Australasia, New Zealand, Australia, and South Africa, and there are subtle differences in the game, but at the end of the day, rugby's rugby.
Yeah, it's interesting you talk about like global differences. It wasn't something I would have expected. So what is that difference? And you say trying to find those lumps of coal?
I think there's a mentality difference around the set piece and the breakdown. I mean, it's far more aggressively contested here, particularly in the scrum. Whereas in the Southern Hemisphere, we tend to treat the scrum as a starting platform for the game rather than a genuine contest. I mean, it is a contest, but we prefer to put our energies into other parts of the game. Here, there are teams that scrum with the sole objective of to get penalties, and that doesn't happen very much down the other end of the world. So the contest is more physical. I think a nice way of comparing it is that most European teams play a game of contact, whereas in the Southern Hemisphere it tends to be a game of space. So that's a generalisation, but pretty broad.
Yeah, sure. And you talk about the scrum and the challenge. In a way, I was going to move on to talking about some of the sort of Hurricane players that are going to be joining you, but I suppose having the second Frank Spreader in is going to help in that scrummaging area as well.
Well, he's widely seen as one of the best 2 or 3 tight head props in the world, and he hasn't played 100 games for the All Blacks for nothing, and he's a genuinely fine rugby player and a good man. So the lure to get him up here and finish his, well, maybe not finish his career, but play for the next period of time with Ben was attractive to him, and we managed to strike an accord, and we're very pleased to have him.
Yeah, because they're quite keen on their strength and conditioning stuff, aren't they? So they're keen to rekindle that back up here.
You know, those boys are very particular, and you know, when Owen announced his departure from New Zealand Rugby after the World Cup, you know, at the highest level, Steve Hansen came out and acknowledged that Owie, as he's called, is probably one of the most professional athletes that there's been in the All Blacks in the last 10 years, and I don't think if you asked any All Black player, they would all say that the most professional player, bar none, is Owen, and Ben is the same. They're very meticulous with their detail, particularly around their strength and conditioning and their game understanding and their skill development. So they're complete professionals, really.
And as Northampton Saints as a whole, something that you know, Owen's going to look to buy into in some of the new signings, what's Northampton Saints' philosophy?
I don't think we've got a philosophy, but I think we're a genuine old school rugby club. We're not tainted with the whims of a mad owner or an owner that's, you know, wants to interfere. I think we've got a really, really solid board. I think we've got a really solid administrative group. We've got a fantastic set of supporters, you know, great supporters. The boys love playing at the Gardens, and I think it's a genuinely old-fashioned rugby club, and it's great to be a part of.
Yeah, it's all good old-fashioned club, but there's no lack of new age attacking skill on the pitch.
No, well, I think that's a nice paradox in a lot of ways, that we're trying to play a slightly different brand of rugby. At the moment, the spectators are enjoying it. You know, we'd like to be able to continue that, but I'm not stupid enough to think that, you know, we're always going to get our own way.
Yeah, sure. And as far as Northampton Saints are looking at this season, I spoke to Tom Wood on Saturday, and he made it very clear that top four, it's there, the goal's in mind. You know, what is the end goal? What will you guys be happy with or not happy with?
No, well, I'm not really a goal setter. I'm a bit of a process man. So, you know, for me, if we concentrate on doing what we have to do to get a result, and we keep accumulating results, you know, on good performance, then you know, we'll end up where we end up. So there's a whole lot of that you can't control, and so I'm a firm believer on control what you can control, and that's our performance. And if our performance is good enough, we'll get rewarded with it. And at the end of the day, once you get into a playoff situation, you know, anything can happen. I mean, you know, you get down to the final 8 or the final 4, whatever it is, and it's 3 games or 2 games away from holding some silverware. The trick is to accumulate enough points to be able to get into those playoff situations.
Sure, yeah, and just finally, I went to social media this morning and said I'd be coming to talk to yourself instead of the fans. You know, what would you ask Chris Boyd if you had the option? And my favourite question was, what type of biscuit do you have with your tea in the morning?
Well, I only drink green tea. I'm not a coffee drinker, and I must confess I'm a little bit of a sucker for chocolate digestives.
That's good. And we like to finish with the Rugby magazine. We like to finish with 3 classic questions at the end. A little bit out there, but if you were stuck on a desert island, you're going to take 3 things. What are you taking?
I'd probably take my fishing rod, because I love my fishing. I'd probably delve into the practical thing, because I'm a bit practical like that. I'd probably take some sort of shelter, and I'd take my wife.
Oh, that's a new one. You know, you'd be surprised how long it's taken someone to mention that. Yeah. No, very, very well played.
Yeah.
Well, it's been fantastic talking to you. Thank you very much.
Thanks very much. Thank you.